Welcome back to the takeover of the House Critic podcast with me, Samantha Cusick, and I am joined by, I can only describe you as an absolute powerhouse in our industry, and that is Lisa Farrell. So thank you so much.
Thank you. What an introduction.
Oh, I had to, yeah, I was like, I've got one prepared, but it's kind of like a bit extra, and I was like, oh my God, imagine if I'm just like, it's like breaking the mold, and she doesn't just break the mold, she's made her own, which is
Oh
totally
my
true.
God. I love that. And I mean, you were like, it's totally extra. I don't know what gave you that impression that I would like extra.
I know. I loved it when I logged on today and I was like, red lips, glasses, leopard, and even the background is giving. I love it.
Well, this is the most quietest spot in the house. I'm actually in the bathroom. So I was like, let me go and sit in the bathroom to have this little conversation because I was like, it's the quietest place in the house because we're having renovations, which I know
Yeah.
you know about. So it's like, yeah, it's a mad house.
Oh my God. You know what though? Girls chatting in the bathroom, that's actually perfect for what we're doing today. So
That's what I
it's
thought.
properly girls chat.
I was like, we haven't had a chance to catch up properly, so let's just have a little chinwag in the bathrooms where all the
It's
parties
perfect.
happen.
I literally love it. So I mean, this is as I said to you before we started. This is kind of selfish for me because we've never really got chance to connect, and I love what you do, and like I know obviously everything that you do, and I just like I want to chat with you. So I was like, when I'm doing this takeover, I was like, I'm picking someone that I want to talk to. So I'm very excited about this.
Oh, I love that. Thanks so much. Yeah, I can't wait to catch up.
No, so I want to start off because, like, people listening might not know so much about you. So I was like, let's kick it off with like the origin story. And it's like, well, minus the fluff of like an origin story, but like what is actually like. So I guess if you give us your intro.
Wow. Okay, where do I start? I always say that I've lived like a lot of lives. I've lived many lives. I've started hair when I was 13 in a salon. School was kind of a place that I rebelled a lot. I was kind of disregarded in a sense and thrown away by the school system because I was too creative. I was too outspoken and kind of was tarnished with a brush of like troublesome, I guess. And that's just because I loved art and I didn't learn in the same ways that other people learn that we're much more woke and aware about now. But back then you wasn't. So I remember at the age of 13, like knocking on doors, going, okay, I want a job. I just wanted some money to go to the park and have cider with my mates on a Friday night, if I'm completely honest. And I remember going to this salon that we would class as a vintage salon. Now I would say vintage. And I just kind of kept knocking on until I wore them down until they said yes and gave me a job, which I think is very relevant to now. I think I still do that a lot of the time. So yeah, I started in the salon at 13. They kind of like took my weirdness and embraced my creativity. So alongside that, I went and did college. I didn't do an apprenticeship because I was working in a salon full time. So weirdly enough, that enabled me to go to college full time and work in a salon full time. So it's kind of like I did both, which is really odd when I look at it now, but it just kind of worked for me. And I remember getting to about the age of 17, I was in the salon and I had someone come into the salon, a black lady with afro hair, asking for her hair to be done. And the guy that I worked for, Brian, he was like, sorry, we can't do your hair. In the nicest possible way. He felt completely unequipped to do it because he'd never cut afro hair before. And I just saw this look on this woman's face and I was like, what, 16, 17? I was like, I mean, I can give it a go if you want. And she was like, okay, yeah. After that, I kind of went to my college and I was like, do you know what? I really want to learn how to do afro hair properly because I'd always been doing my friend's hair. I knew how to braid. I'd cut my friend's hair before. So, I mean, I had no right cutting this woman's hair because I didn't know how to cut hair. I cut my grand's hair and my
Mm.
friend's hair. That was
You're
it.
still really young and inexperienced at that time as well. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like just like with the ego of a dinosaur. So I was like, yeah, sit in my chair. Um all else fails, we'll give you braids. So but she was like, really up for it, bless her. And we just gave her a little trim. And I remember going to the college and saying, because I wasn't allowed to take my friends into college that all had curly hair, that had textured hair, that had black hair. Because there was no one there that was able to
Teach.
supervise me or teach. And I was told to leave it alone, like, quite frankly, leave it alone. So that didn't sit right with me. So I went to Birmingham University because they were doing a night course. And it was called, I remember it now, it was like Unit 205, because the Afro Caribbean, it used to be called African Caribbean Unit 205, has always been in the curriculum. It's always been there, because I know there's this massive thing where it's like it's not in there. It's
Yeah, it
always
wasn't
been
in
there.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
always been in there, but you need someone that can teach it to be able to offer it. So I was like, what, 17, and I did this hour-long journey at night time to go and learn in Birmingham University. And one of my lecturers, Marie, was like, "You're really good." I was like, "Ah, thanks." And she was like, "If you really want to learn, you come and work in my salon." She owned a Afro Black traditional hair salon in Handsworth in Birmingham. She was like, "You'll come and work for me." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I worked in my salon, and I went and worked for free in her salon every single Saturday from the
Wow.
age of 17 up until about 24,
Oh
22.
wow.
Yeah, and I ended up splitting my time between two salons. I eventually ended up leaving the salon that I was in and moved to Birmingham and worked in Birmingham city centre. And then obviously I'd still work at the Afro hair salon as well. And I really just earned my stripes in that space and became part of the community. I started off in my chair at the beginning. As soon as you walk in, there's a chair that you would sit in, and that just means you're really inexperienced and no one will sit there, so you have to kind of earn your stripes through, and which I did. So that was kind of a really valuable lesson for me, not only within hair but just being around women and women in business and women sharing their stories and their experience of their hair and how they feel. And Marie taught me everything I know within black hair, and she was like, all I want you to do is spread the voice of equality, make it equal, and show people that everyone can do every hair type. And that's what I've kind of championed since then. And that's been the last 22, 25 years.
Wow.
So that was that long ago. And then after that, I moved to London, was teaching. I've always been in education. I mean, this is a long bio. I feel like we're
Yeah.
writing a book.
It's good. You've done a lot.
I know. Went into education, was doing session at the time, was assisting Malcolm Edwards. I ended up being his first assistant, but was also teaching and was running a really big academy in Shoreditch. And it was 2016, I won 4 awards in a row for hairdressing,
Wow.
um, which was really exciting, really amazing, and was like, I've been entering awards for years, but that was kind of like the year that everyone was starting to speak about my name, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I got called into the office of the director for this academy I was running, and he came and he said, I want to talk to you about these awards you've won. And I was like, I'm getting a pay rise, like this is going to be amazing. And he sat me down and he was like, this isn't the Lisa show and everyone's asking for courses with
Oh.
you. You're sacked. There and then on the spot, sacked me. And I was like,
What?
what? I just couldn't believe it was happening. I was like, what's going on? And you know what it's like in session, even if you're a first assist, it's unpredictable. So I was kind of like, oh my god, what am I going to do now? I'm living in London, it's super expensive, I'm from like the Midlands, like how am I going to afford my rent? I've just been sacked on the spot. And so yeah, it was kind of like I cried. I put on a vinyl record, and I cried for about, I think it was 7.5 minutes. It was Billie Holiday, and then I got out of my I got out of my feelings, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do session full time, and then that's what I did, and that was 2016. I also launched Wig London in 2016, which was which is still going now. Which Wig London, we teach courses, we do education, we believe in making all salons texture neutral. So we are advocates since 2016 to bring hairdressers and learn hairdressers how to do every single hair type. And the rest is history, I guess.
I mean, that is amazing. Honestly, I can't believe that that guy fired you. What a
I
dick.
know. I mean, the academy's no longer there, just saying. But
Yeah, well, you can see
yeah.
why egos don't serve. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is just awful.
Yeah, which is crazy because sometimes now, and I only recognised it, I was on a campaign in Berlin, and this conversation actually came up really randomly, and one of my assistants was like, "So that's why you always say welcome to the Lisa Farrell show?" And I went, "Do I?" And she went, "Yeah." She went, "You're just literally doing a two fingers up, aren't you, to like that guy?" I was like, subconscious. I'd never even realised, but yeah, obviously, like I'm a Cancerian, so I hold on to shit.
Yeah, well, it's we're all the main characters in our own story. Do you know what I mean? It's always the show. So, and it that kind of thing does stick with you when somebody says that, and not always like it's not always obvious. Sometimes it's subconscious, and it's always there. I mean, I launched a whole other podcast called the Silly Little Girls Club because that landlord called me a silly little girl to my face, and it's like you take that and you're like, well, fuck, I'm not going to swear on Dom's
Yeah,
podcast, but like you. And you just like you can take that and it can power you, and I think that's something that's
yeah,
really, as women, something that we are very good at, holding a grudge.
yeah.
Lol.
But do you know what? Interestingly enough, it's only been, I would say, the last 2 years, if that, that I've actually told that story. And the only reason being, I was so ashamed for such a long
Mm,
time that I was sacked. Because for me, I was like, and I didn't even realise that there was any shame attached to that till I started speaking about it. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, I was sacked. And I was like, because I think at that time there was like it was very gaslighty. So I was like, I've obviously done something wrong. I've obviously promoted myself too much, or you know, and yeah, there was like this shame attached to that. And I don't know whether that comes from like a working class background or whatever, but there is like that shame attached with it. And then I stood into it. I was like, no, like absolutely not. But
no,
yeah, I self-analyzed that and went, I wonder why I've never spoke about that before. And that's what I came up with.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
it's,
go for
we
it.
do internalize a lot of stuff, and I think the stigma around getting sacked is that word, and it's that like connotation
Yeah.
that comes with it, isn't it? And it's like it's never a good feeling. The power's taken from you in that moment, like you're no longer in control, and that is just like just fucking awful, honestly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
No, I
crazy. I
don't.
literally went on my hen do the other week in Ibiza, last week actually.
Mm.
And one of my friends that was with me worked for me at the academy, and we was on about this, and I was like, can you believe that? And we were like drunkenly walking up the hills going, and that story, I guess that's why it's coming out today. But yeah,
Yeah.
mental.
Honestly, what an absolute dick. But I feel like the best
Yeah.
thing that could happen to you probably was that. Like,
Oh yeah, I definitely have to be pushed.
because I mean, you did
Yeah.
so much. But I mean, what would you say when you look back on like those early days? Like, what do you think was the standout moment where you're like, yeah, this is it, and it all shifted? Do you think it was like the woman coming in the salon when you were 17, or do you think it could have been that pivotal moment of getting fired, or is there a standout moment that shifted
Um,
everything for you?
I feel like there's a lot of little moments that have made a big moment, if that makes sense. Um, I think, have you ever watched the Slumdog Millionaire film? And I
Yes.
feel I feel like I relate to that so much, because I just feel like there's certain situations that I've been put in throughout my life that have like made something else happen. And yeah, I think it's all of those little moments, and I think it really comes down to like my mom and dad really just being like, get yourself back up, dust yourself off, get on with it. Even my dad, like I remember him going, do something that robots don't do, like make sure like even my mom and dad, they're like, if you work in Tesco, like stacking shelves, have the best customer service, be the best at it, and it's like there was never any pressure. Like my mum backed me when the school was like, she's too creative, all she does is draw. My mum's like, yeah, because she's creative. So I
Yeah.
think from like a very young age I was backed by my mum and dad, like, and was told that I'm enough. So I think that just encouraged me to like be a fighter. And then listening them stories in the salon and the hurt and pain and suffering that came from certain history, that like, okay, I'm standing up for that, I'm carrying that forward. And then going to the academy, and then winning and feeling some type of way, and then being put down, and go, actually no, I'll launch my own academy.
Yeah.
So I think it's all kind of just yeah, made me
No, I think so.
resilient.
I also think like because I'm from the Midlands, and I feel like we have a really good chin up mentality, which sometimes can be toxic when you kind of like compartmentalize stuff and you don't deal with it. But ultimately, it can be a good thing because it is literally like, well, no one's going to do this for me. Like, I have to get my chin up, I have to get on
Absolutely.
with it, and I have to put myself out there. And yeah, I think you're quite a talisman for that mentality, and I fucking love it.
And where are you from?
I'm from Nottingham.
Oh my God. So I'm Swadlincote, Derbyshire. We're
Oh, there you
sisters.
go.
Oh my
There you go.
God, I love that. I never knew that. Amazing.
Yeah, my whole family is still there. So, but yeah, it's like one of those things you move to London, don't you? Because it's one
Yeah,
of it within our industry. It kind of, I mean, things are changing now that socials open stuff up to a broader audience. But it's like it was the place that you needed to come to be able to do the session, to be
absolutely.
able to like really carve ahead in the industry. But it's thankfully, I feel like things are shifting now a little bit more, and there's
Yeah.
more opportunity out there.
And I think since COVID as well, because like for me, I travel so much, and like my team now, like I've got team from Manchester, Blackpool, London, and at one point I would have never had anyone on my team that wasn't London based, because it would be like, okay, I'm going to worry about, can they get there on time? They're the ones that are there first. They're coming up the night before. So I think it's just great to like open opportunities for everyone all over the UK. And I think we can do that more now. And people are, if you want to do it, you do it. And I think, yeah, we're living proof of that.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think, like you say, it's so important to open those opportunities up and like make sure that there is space for people that are outside of London and like spotlighting them a lot. It's like when I flick through magazines or like when I see like the award finalists that came out yesterday from Creative Head, they're from all over, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like it
Yeah.
really does make it more national and like help people not feel like they can't do something because of where they're from.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Definitely.
yeah, and I think like you've spoken about. I think you was part of that not a hairdresser campaign, right? Not just a hairdresser.
Yeah, with the
Mm.
creative head.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like that was such a powerful thing as well because like we are as an industry so pigeonholed and like there is that element of like I hate it when people say you're just a hairdresser, and I sometimes introduce myself as just a hairdresser, and I'm like, what the
Yeah.
hell? Like,
Yeah.
why do I do that? But like, with that mentality, like how do you kind of stay grounded like in that mission, because like the industry gets so noisy and it's so performative and there's so much going on, so much ego. How is it that you stay so grounded on your mission of like sharing like the knowledge and education and pushing things forwards like you do?
I think it's just remembering where you come from and just not believing the hype. I'm not very hairdressery. Okay.
Mm.
So I'm not very like, that's all I can say is hairdressery. So
I know what you mean.
do you know what I mean? Like I'm like, but
Hairdressers
I'm,
know what you mean when you say
yeah,
hairdresser. Yeah.
I'm not very hairdressery. So I just kind of feel like I just, sometimes it's really lonely, especially in
Mm.
session, because you're kind of like, you're the lead and then everyone like is on your team, but it can be like you're not in a salon with all of like your people. So it can be quite grounding, but it's very much like, I don't know, people can think you live this lavish lifestyle because you're in first class, but actually the only reason that you're on a business flight is because as soon as you get off that flight, you're working for 20 hours a day. I mean, if you've ever been on a tour bus on tour, sharing one loo with 10 people, like that will ground you real quick. So, so I just feel like, yeah, I mean, that not another hairdresser. And I say all the time now, when people go, what do you do? I go, I'm just a hairdresser. I do exactly the same as you. But a lot of the time I do that, I do know the reasons that I do that is because there are certain situations that you're in that people want to be around you or get to know you because of who you've worked with, what campaigns you've worked on, who they can be introduced to. And I'm still working on that because I just think everyone's lovely. And I don't sometimes realize that people are just trying to, get a ladder up, because I help people anyway. I'm like, what do you want to do? Show me your vision board. I'll help you get there. There's enough for us all to eat. Like there literally is. And I pride myself on just being like a good, nice person. But sometimes people can take advantage of that. So especially like when you go to America, they're like, oh my God, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm just a hairdresser. And they're like, but who do you do? And I'm like, oh, just a bit of hair. So I kind of like I love that now, because I can just like literally like downplay it a little bit and use that to advantage. And that's why that advert was so good, because the advert, not just a hairdresser, it was so powerful to bring people into the industry, but it was also showed on TV at the same time as the big blowout that me and Sam McKnight was on. So it was great because you had the audience that were watching the TV show about hairdressing and about the creativity of hairdressing. And then in the adverts, it was encouraging people to be like, we're not just hairdressers, we're the rock stars of the creative world. So yeah, I love that for us.
Yeah, me too. I mean, yeah, I think when you say you downplay it, I mean, you can't downplay what you've done, because I feel like when I was looking at some of the campaigns and some of the people that you've worked with, I'm like, I'm sorry, like, but you've done like campaigns for brands like Adidas, Schwarzkopf, like huge names, and then you've got client lists that would make anybody stand up and take notice. I'm thinking like, am I right in thinking I can say Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar is Ed Sheeran. I've done a
Like,
videos for Harry
I'm sorry.
Styles, Coldplay. So like, yeah.
It's wild, like, and it's like, how, like, what have those moments taught you about, like, pressure, people, and like staying true to like your style and your artistry? Because that, when you do work on campaigns and with different brands and artists, like sometimes you get so pulled into what they want. Is there a way that you can still keep an element of what you do there?
Yeah, I think it's especially if you're working with artists, music artists, they have a very clear identity and what they want. But it's always about collaboration. And I say this all the time, it's about collaborating with the artist, with the director, with the creative director. Um, and also being able to stand in like your power. Like I will stand in my power and go, actually, that's not going to work. That's not going to look right. I don't want to put my name to that. And that's taken years to get to that stage, because you do sometimes at the earlier days go, why did I do that? And it's like, because someone was going, this is what I want and this is what to do. But now it can be very much a case of people are asking me for advice. I'm putting decks together, I'm putting design briefs together, and I do hair and makeup design now. I don't do makeup, but I put a whole concept together
Yeah, the
to
whole
create
look.
a yeah, and to create like a character, whether it's for film, whether it's for a music video, whether it's for a campaign. um it's putting that whole image together, and being a hair and makeup designer or a hair designer, and being able to use your voice and your experience, because we're the experts, so it's just like standing in your power really. But yeah, everyone is human, and I think that's the most important thing. I think, like you said, like being from the Midlands, knowing that you just have to be able to hold your own and know that everyone's like on this earth the same way. And I think people that I work with appreciate that, appreciate the humility.
Yeah, oh my God, definitely. I think, being able to collaborate in like in a way that's, and asserting your authority, but without being like egocentric, it's quite a nuance.
Yeah.
And I think that is again something as women we're quite emotive. And so we can really bounce off people and feel that. And I think sometimes, yeah, when I've worked with like, under guys' direction and stuff like that, sometimes it's a bit like, oh, okay. But it's like, and it doesn't have that real collaborative. I am generalizing, obviously, but like most of the time that is kind of how it's felt for me when I've done stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like when we talk about collaboration and we talk about standing in our power, um I mean, one of the directors that I work with a lot is a guy, and he's so a champion for women, and most of his team are always women, and he respects the vision. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it all depends on how like you put your stance in and present yourself. And we're sitting at big boardroom meetings now, so it's kind of like you either get bulldozed, you stand your ground, or you just go all in, or you walk
Mm,
away. And I think
yeah,
that's kind of like I said, for me, even when I was at school, I was always like, I'll do what you want, but just tell me the reason. So
yeah.
now that's where I'm like Many Lives, Slumdog Millionaire film. It's because me going, okay, well, if you want me to do that, just tell me why. That's kind of how I live my life now. So instead of going, this is what you should do, this is my opinion, and you should do this, I'm like, this is what I think, this is what I feel, and these are the reasons why, and this is how I can back that up with why this is a good idea.
Mm,
So I think that's how that moves on into the world that I'm kind of in now, because it's not just
yeah.
kind of like, well, this is what I think, because not everyone wants a red lip and leopard print. So so yeah, it's definitely being able to put a reason behind it.
Yeah, and I also think everybody does want a red lip and leopard print, but they can't all carry it off. So I feel like
Definitely.
that's definitely, we all want it, but we just can't carry it off. So if you went back and like had to do this all again, do you think you would still chase and do these high profile jobs if you were starting over, or do you think you would focus differently, or do you think you'd still go along this path?
Oh, I mean, I don't think there's much that I would do differently, because I'm really happy with where I am in life right now. And I think all of the hurdles that I've come across have made me into the person that I am, and they've made me into the hairdresser I am. However, there are certain situations that I feel like I could have made my life a lot easier. Why I could have like gone in different routes or gone for different gone on different roads that would have made things easier, but it wouldn't have made me who I am, I guess. That's
Mm.
probably the easiest way to say it.
Yeah, no, that is good. Hindsight is such a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think
So,
moving
I mean,
around so much, like, sorry, I think moving around so much at certain points in my life, I was like, I just need roots. Like, and sometimes I feel like that now. I'm like, I just need roots. And I feel like if I'd have maybe stayed in one place, my life would have looked very differently. I would have probably had like a salon, a chain of salons, and gone through that route. But then when I look at what I do now and how much I travel, even when I'm tired, I'm like, I don't know whether I could do that. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I don't.
conflicted.
Yeah, yeah, it's really conflicted because like both lives look very nice to me. But I
Yeah.
think everything would have had to have got me to this point through trial and tribulations.
No, I think so. And it's very clear from talking to you, very, very creative, but you also clearly do have a brain for business. Like, and I
Yeah.
know like when you was at school, you was very creative and stuff like that. So is that kind of like business element of it? Is that something that was always there, or is it something that you've had to kind of learn the hard way?
Definitely like learnt the hard way because I think like you are wrote off, aren't you, as a hairdresser? Well, you're thick, you're stupid, you're just going to do hair, you don't know how to do. I was
Yeah.
told I couldn't even do my A levels. I've got a degree in teaching. Do you know what I mean? I like, but I was told, you know, I couldn't do A levels, I couldn't do any of that. So I think I have had to teach myself business. I've had to put myself through courses. I've had to teach myself everything from PR to marketing to being my own agent before I had one to being able to try and negotiate contracts, like everything. I had to do it all because there was a time when agencies didn't want to take me on because my work was too creative, or it wasn't editorial enough, it wasn't soft enough, or you know, I was working too much with textured hair and I need to be, you know, focusing more on European and white hair, like things that come up like constantly. And I mean, in 2000, my dog's going crazy, sorry. In
That's all right.
2000, in 2025, people are going in 2026, people want to learn more about, you know, textured hair and advocacy and things that I've been screaming about for a long time, but that wasn't always the case. So I had to learn, and I'm still learning as well. I'm still, you know, negotiating certain things. And, you know, I've been in situations where people have taken money from me without me knowing that I've trusted. So I'm still like learning all of that as well. So I'm just in a place now where I'm starting to just go, okay, I'm just investing in like paying people to do certain things because you can't do it all. But I've had to learn how to do it all myself, which makes it harder to trust someone because you're like, well, I know how to do it. I just need the time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Delegating is probably one of the biggest challenges of my life. Like it's you have to free up that time and that like mental space to be able to push things forwards and to like, you know, really focus on those things that you need to do that nobody else can do.
Yeah, and it's like by the time I've shown you how to do it, I might as well just do it myself, which is a very
Yeah,
toxic
but you
thing
only have
to
to show
have.
them once or twice, and then hopefully it would be like, you know,
Yeah.
they can pick it up. But that's, you know, the beauty of having the right team around you, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, and I'm still working on that, but I'm like, why are you teaching French in school when you should just be teaching business? Because that's what everyone needs.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think all hairdressers, we are, you know, we have so many hats, whether it's a therapist, whether it's marketing, whether it's social media, whether it's, you know, doing your own taxes, or there's so many business elements to it that we don't give ourselves credit for, that I'm like, you don't even teach that in the curriculum. Like, we have to figure that out.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. That's what I find really wild. And when anybody says to me, like, why do you like being a hairdresser? And that's literally why I love it, is because like there is so many elements to it. And you can literally adapt a whole trade and a career to what you are good at and what you want to do. But like you say, there is that underlying lack of support and education around, just the day-to-day stuff. Like I always think, like in schools, for instance, things like, religious studies, whatever, like general studies, all of these things which are, I guess, important in a way, but like where's the bit about, like, this is how you pay bills, this is what a credit rating looks like, this
Yeah.
is what you need to, like, the actual, like, why am I not being taught that as a kid? And
Yeah.
then people get in a mess, like, nobody'd sign up to fucking Klarna, I'm sure, if they knew about credit ratings and paying stuff back and interest rates, like.
Yeah, and I think as well, like we're probably similar ages, so I think it was that boom of being around 18. Everyone just sending you credit cards.
Yeah.
Like I remember that time that you would get unlimited credit. Everyone was like credit
Mhm.
card, credit card, credit card. Everyone was in the club
Mhm.
like they were Nelly,
Yeah.
like, and it, it's crazy, but there was no one actually going, okay, this is national, your NI contribution, your
Mhm.
tax, going, this is how you can be self-employed, this is your tax code. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
what tax code was. I had to figure that out, which I think is ludicrous, when
It's
you think about
crazy to me. It's crazy to me that that's just not a little module somewhere. Like, I haven't freaking used trigonometry since I left my GCSEs, for God's sake. But like all of these other maths things, like accountancy and things like that, would have been
yeah.
so much more valuable. But you
However,
know,
Samantha, I did get an A in woodwork, and you should see my stairs that I've recently sanded.
but you know what? That kind of is a translatable skill. When something messes up in the salons and you need to fix something, I'm
Get
there.
the hammer
I
out.
literally, I honestly am a great DIYer, and it's probably because of, like, yeah, design technology at school where I was doing
Yeah.
the most random shit. But
I can solder a pipe and to make a light bulb work, and sand, a stair with a piece of sandpaper.
oh, yeah, but everything else we have to figure out as we go along. It's so frustrating. But anyhow, I want to go back to, like, what you said about, what you're doing, like advocating, and like, you have been, like, and you are such a fierce voice for inclusivity, and like obviously the whole texture hair education movement. And it's like, I wanted to ask you, it's like, do you feel like the industry is actually catching up, or do you just think we're still clapping for the bare minimum?
Um, oh, that's a good one.
Mm,
I think when we talk about my story, and I talk about when I started to like do all hair types, which was like 20 years ago,
mm,
and then launching Wig London in 2016, I think the industry wants to learn and it is catching up. However, there's always more that can be done. But I think the reason that Wig London was launched, and the reason that sort of the textured, neutral courses were there, was because I was so sick of people putting hairdressers down and going, you should do this, you should do that. And instead of like, I was being an advocate, but I didn't want to go, all hairdressers should do this, because you're just then putting hairdressers down.
mm,
And instead, I was going, do you know what? I believe that everyone should be able to walk into every hair salon, should be able to sit down at every single fashion week, should be able to sit in your chair, and you have a responsibility to be able to know how to do every single hair type. If you want to learn, this is here for you. You don't have to, because no, there's no point getting people to do something they don't want to do and saying, you should do this. But if you want to, this is here for you. And that's about supporting hairdressers. So I think, to say, is it the bare minimum? Is it everyone doing what they should? I think it's so individualized. And I think by saying it's the bare minimum, I would be part of the problem. And,
mm,
so I feel like there's structure there, there's courses there, there's education there, if hairdressers want it.
yeah.
And that's all you can hope for. And I just think having those conversations, whether it's to do with textured hair, the salon is where it all happens for advocacy. So like
Mhm.
recently at HairCon, me and Leslie Jennison collaborated on a show, and it was about protecting the dolls. It was all about supporting trans women, and it was about using our platform to showcase trans rights. So I think the hair salon, whether it's to do with um textured hair, whether it's to do about history, whether it's about trans rights, whether it's about equality, those are the safe spaces that we need to create where conversations can happen. So there's different things put into place, whether it's from other people, or whether it's with Wig London, we show people how to advocate for every single person, and the salon is the place for that to happen. So just having those things in place, it's going, okay, are you open to put in a she her on your email to show people that their pronouns are accepted in your salon? Are you okay with adding, you know, textured hair products in your salon so that, you know, someone walking past knows that they can be serviced there? So it's just like those little things, and the hair salon is the place to do it. But I think it all starts with the individual, and for an individual and a hairdresser to feel safe, to be
Yeah.
able to ask questions and say, I don't know how, or but I want to learn. Because that
Yeah.
was me in the salon when I was 15 and that woman came in. I was like, I want to learn, but I don't know how. We sit in my chair,
Yeah.
open, honest, pure hearted conversations.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I think, do you ever think though that, like, hairdressers do want to learn, but there's that kind of fear element to the unknown, and like, especially established hairdressers, because I've had this conversation before with other people where they want to go and learn these things, but they're like, oh, I don't. It would be like, almost starting again, and people are kind of a bit scared of doing that, or scared of like saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, and like navigating those nuances. Because while it isn't, like you say, it's like not just about learning a new hair type or texture that they've not known before. It's everything that comes with it, the language, and it's and I feel like there can be that barrier. And how do you get people past that and to be comfortable having those open conversations?
Yeah, I think it's a very scary. I think it all comes from like your vibe attracting your tribe, right?
Mm.
So you have to be somewhere that you feel comfortable. We always say, like, if you come on a course with me or with Wig London, we create a safe space. So that safe space is there so that you can be open and vulnerable. But of course, like, if you're established and you're teaching courses, like, and you're teaching your salon, it's a very daunting, scary place to go, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know. And it's like, that's okay. So, I mean, we do an educate the educator. So we
Mm-hmm.
have a course that's just for educators so that everyone is in the same boat, because otherwise you feel like you're there with someone that you're teaching, and, you know, you're head of wherever, whether it's in a college or whether it's in your salon or whether you're doing like session, you feel like, actually, I'm going to be teaching this to other people, so I don't want to be on that course with people that I'm teaching. So we do an educate the educator, which is just for educators.
Yeah.
So it's about creating those different spaces. But I think within hairdressing, it's the one industry that's forever evolving, and we have to evolve to keep our industry moving. I'm learning things all the time, every single day, whether it's hair related or not. Like, I have some of my team that I've brought on, like new members, and they'll be like, can I have lunch? Like, I need to eat. um,
You're
and
like, you can have
I'm like,
lunch.
uh, yeah, absolutely. They're like, you should eat too. You've not eaten, or I've not seen you go to the bathroom or drink water in 12 hours. Here's a drink. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like, you know, so I'm learning as well, because, you know, you do need to like look after yourself to be able to like feed into you to then be able to feed other people. So
Mm.
I'm learning things all of the time, and I think, you know, I think it's a great place to be. To It's a scary place, but I think also having these conversations and going, we all feel like that. If I went on a course tomorrow to do, I don't know, there was a new technique in curly hair, or, you know, how to blow dry curly hair, sure, I'll go on it, I want to have a look. But also people would be like, well, you should already know how to do that. And I'm like, I probably do once I've seen it, but, you know, let's support the creatives, like, let's do
Yeah.
it. I'm
Yeah.
If I had the time, I would be, you know, I love learning new things. I love pottery, I love painting. I'm very much like, I've got roller skates in the spare room, so I'm always open to like feeding the brain. I love
Oh
it.
my God, don't. We need to go roller skating, because I actually signed up and go to a roller skating thing as like a
Did
thing.
you?
Yes, and I bought little roller skates, and like
Oh my God.
it's so fun. So we need to go roller skating. That would
Yeah,
be
I
so.
mean, I'm definitely holding on to you like the penguin at the ice skate park, because I've got them, but I don't know how to roller skate. But I really have the vision of me just wanting to do it and be like,
Yeah. But it's so cool, like, to put yourself out there, and I suppose that's how we put it back into, like, going into those lessons and those courses that you're scared and maybe a bit apprehensive of doing. But when you get there and you realize it's fun, everyone is in the same boat as you, and it's
everyone is
just
in
like
the
you,
same boat.
yeah,
Yeah, and do you know what people always say to me? They go, what advice would you give to your younger self? What would you tell your younger self?
Hmm.
Like, I get that question all of the time, and I'm like, do you know what? Scratch that. What would
Hmm.
my younger self tell me? Because my younger
Yeah.
self did not give a shit. She would go and she would be like, okay, I want to do that, so I'm doing it. I'm going to do that course, I'm doing it. Oh, they're not giving me a job, I'm going to knock on their door again and do that. Like, so actually, once you start getting established, there becomes a lot of eyes watching, and you can get a little bit fearful and go, oh well, you're kind of having this business tone, and
Hmm.
you're still creative, but you're trying to balance the two, where it's like, what would I tell my younger self? No, I'd tell my younger self to give myself a kick up the arse, because she
Yeah,
does
get on
not
with it
give a
and stop
shit.
worrying.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because she was like taking herself on night buses at 15 to go and learn, a razor cut
Yeah.
in a warehouse that probably wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah,
So
honestly, it's we lose ourselves as we get older and we get all of this external pressure and all of these other things happen, and you just, yeah, you can lose that part of yourself, right? Where it's just like,
yeah,
no, this is what I'm doing, and being very,
I'm like,
it's that self-assuredness.
yeah, it's like I want to go rollerblading, but actually I've got a show in Hong Kong next week. What happens if I fall over? Who's doing this?
Well, hopefully you bought wrist guards and elbow pads as well
Oh,
as
I've
the
got it
skates.
all. I'm like the Michelin. I'm like that.
It's gonna be so perfect. Um, like I've just got a few other things that I need to just ask you about, because like obviously um with what you do in educating, and like it kind of draws on what we were just saying about your younger self again. It's like, if that you've mentored and educated so many people, and it's like, what would you say if you were the mentee again? Would that be like what we've just said? Because I feel like that you've just answered that question.
Say that again.
Like, if you would go back from being the mentor that you are now, and you, like you
Yeah.
say, you're the mentee, what is it that you would say to the mentor? Like what would you say to yourself? And I guess you just answered that
Um,
question before, so.
Well, no, because do you know what's really interesting? I'm. It's gonna sound funny because like I've mentored so many hairdressers,
Mhm.
and they all call me hair mama, and I'm like my hair babies. So I'm like, it sounds really creepy, like sowing my seed, like because it's big, it's bigger than me. But I really like to be a part of other people's journeys and really push them. But other than, I would say, Marie, that was with me in the Afro hair salon, I
Mhm.
didn't have a mentor other than her. And she was my mentor with regards to equality, in regards to hair for that period of time. But even like, I remember moving to London, and I'm like, I just wanted to be mentored. Like, I really like wanted a mentor. And then as soon as you start doing all these things and accomplishing things, then no one feels like they can mentor you. And I remember, like, not fitting into anyone's club, and like really wanting to be part of the club, but not
Mhm.
having a mentor. So now I am the mentor that I always wanted, because then it wouldn't have been as hard for me to be in certain spaces because of where I was from, because of where, whatever. I had to really prove myself and work extra hard to be in certain spaces. So I try and give those opportunities to others now. So yeah, if I was the mentee again, I'd be like, fucking mentor me, bitch. Here's my vision board. Stop making it so hard. Stop making it so hard.
I guess, yeah, you'd show up prepared, and it's like, this is what I want. Tell me how to get it.
I'd be
Like,
like,
that's
I'm
it.
from the future.
I feel like you kind of are from the future in that sense, though. Like, seeing this vision 25 years ago and pushing into that space, that is like future vision shit, honestly.
Oh, thank you. I just think, do you know what? Like, equality in hair is for everyone. And it's
Mhm.
the place that kind of saved me, I think, in a sense of, creativity, and became my safe space. And yeah, especially, the hair salon in Birmingham, it was just, it was eye-opening for me. We shared so many stories, and there were so many special moments there that, like, yeah, I don't know, I've always just been a champion for equality. I'm always the one that will go and try and fight someone in a corner that's picking on someone that's 3 times the size of me, thinking I can take them delusionally.
You would
That's
take
just
them.
always, yeah, that's just always been me. Like, who are you picking on? Oh, yeah, we'll leave her alone.
Yeah, but we all need people like that in our corner. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. And you know, the being that voice when you see something and you don't say something is just the worst feeling. Like, you know, if you notice
Yeah.
something and you don't say it, like that's just even worse.
Yeah, and I think there's probably like subconsciously, I'm just probably the person that I've always wanted someone to be to me. Like, I
Mm.
think we do that a lot. I think well, me personally, however I show up in situations is how I want someone to show up for me. And that's why I know that whether it's a team member, it's a friend, it's a family member, I will never ask of you nothing that I wouldn't do triple myself for you. And I think that's like very important. I won't ask of any of my team to do anything that I wouldn't do myself, whether that's cleaning the kit, whether that's working 22 hours, whether that's, grabbing food when we can, whether that's staying up all night doing, decks with me, whatever it is, I will always do that little bit more. So I don't ask anyone to do anything that I'm not willing or don't do myself. And that's
Yeah.
every aspect of my life, really.
And I think, you know, that's I'm in that same boat, and I honestly believe that that is a real superpower that women have in business, especially because we have that foresight, that empathy, and we see that in people, and it's like I would never ask someone to do something that I haven't done or wouldn't do,
Yeah.
like ever. It's not. I would
Yeah.
never.
But I feel like sometimes women in business, we need to channel the male ego a little bit more.
We need to stand up for ourselves a bit more and like be a bit
Yeah,
more like, no, this is me, this is what I'm doing, and this is what you need to do. Like,
yeah,
but
yeah. I feel like I have a little bit of that. Sometimes I do like to go into like a willy measuring contest and whack mine out
oh, yeah,
and just be
yeah,
like, yeah.
slop it on the desk.
I mean, what's equality without us all having a little willy?
Yeah, exactly. Or a massive schlong. There
Well,
we go.
either or, either or. I was trying to keep it PC, but you took it there. But yeah,
No, I've taken over
okay.
Dom's podcast. You can bleep out what he needs to, I'm sure. This is the girl power takeover, so we can talk about what we want. Right, I've got a few quick fire questions to finish up on. But right, so what's one thing you don't care about anymore that you used to obsess over when you started out?
Oh my God. One thing I don't care about anymore, that I used to obsess about. If people liked me, I
Yeah,
guess. I used to be such a people pleaser, and I figured out I can only be me, and that's enough. So,
not fucking perfect. That's an epiphany moment if ever we need one. That's the epiphany that everyone needs to have. Red flag you'd spot a mile off now in like a job, a collab, or a contract.
not tagging your lead or your team in anything.
Mm.
Um, I think it's really important. You should always tag the team, but also when you tag but you don't acknowledge who's brought you on the job, who the job is, everyone's roles, I think that's a massive red flag.
Mm. Huge. And
Also
like
not being
that's,
able, oh, go on.
I was just gonna say, that is like, that happens way too often, doesn't it? Like, it's
Yeah,
so shit.
yeah, so that's a massive red flag. Another one would probably be not being able to find someone when they're on a job with you and go, where are you, hi, where are you? And then what did you say about contracts? What was that
So,
one?
like, what was a red flag with contracts? Like, things like, you know, that were in earlier jobs, for instance, like when you first got your contracts and you're doing them
Yeah,
yourself, for instance, like people try and put so much stuff in there, but
yeah.
it's like, boom, that's a red flag.
I would say I've had a few problems with people doing contracts on my behalf,
Mm.
and then keeping money. So I think a red flag for me would be for someone that wants to sign a contract on your behalf.
Mm.
You should always sign contracts yourself, get your own legal advice yourself. It's an investment, but also anyone that wants to sign a contract on your behalf is a red flag for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Best money you've ever spent on your business?
Oh, oh God, I spend so much money. Um,
Leopard print and red lipstick.
I mean, I am very practical as well. So my practical investment would be the fact that all of my like Burton bags that I take on jobs with me, they are an amazing investment, and all of the bags that go inside the bags Huge
Mhm.
investment. On my business, so Wig London, we also supply and have our own wig and hair extension line, which was a massive investment. It's not even out there. We don't have pictures of the wigs. Like, people in the industry will just call me up and go, I need these wigs, I need these wigs, and I ship them out. It's not like something that we just sell off the website. So that was a big investment. But then also, I would say the holidays that I go on, they're
Yeah.
probably the most beneficial, because I don't get to go on holiday a lot. So if I do, I want to just like do it large because I need that time.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. I can only imagine what your hen do is like. I need to see pictures.
Well, I've got my second one. I've got a second hen do in 2 weeks as well. We're going to Vegas. So
Oh, stop. That's
yeah,
gonna
so
be
we
so
just did
good.
Ibiza, and then I've got a really intimate one in Vegas, so that'll be good. I'll probably do a UK one. So yeah, come on, the UK one. Be more
Literally
specific.
love that. Amazing. Final question is the best advice you'd give to a woman entering the hair industry in 2025.
Be your own cheerleader, back yourself, and don't take no for an answer, because you are enough.
Perfect. Yes. And you're not just a hairdresser.
You're not just a hairdresser, you're a rock star.
Yes, I fucking love that. Right. Well, thank you. That's like I'm gonna have to. I've just seen how long we've been talking. I hadn't even noticed, and I was like, oh my god, I need to I need to wrap this up because I've got so much to ask you and like so much more I want to talk to you about.
I
But I
know,
know
we
you've
need
got
a
to get a
part
flight.
two. I've got a
We do
car
need a
waiting
part
outside.
two.
I'm
Yeah.
literally flying to Miami tonight. So yeah, I had the car waiting outside. He keeps looking at me angrily. The dog's going mental.
Oh my god, but we'll let you
What's a
go.
bit of
But
waiting time between friends?